I'm Brian Nichols, the MRFA Advocacy Officer, and this is Plato. Say hello. I'm here to provide a brief overview of the legislative interventions in collective bargaining here in Alberta. So before that, back in 2015, the Supreme Court of Canada declared the right to strike was protected by the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Following this, governments in Ontario and Alberta and elsewhere began to intervene in collective bargaining to reduce the ability of the public sector workers to secure improved working conditions and wages. To discuss Alberta, I'll be leaning on a special report by the Parkland Institute. This is available online. It's titled "A Thumb on the Scale: Alberta Government Interference in Public Sector Bargaining." In 2019, the Alberta government passed the Public Sector Employers Act. Now, this allowed the Minister of Finance to issue secret binding directives to public sector employers. According to the Parkland Institute, this was a first in Canada. In addition, the PBCO, which is the Provincial Bargaining and Compensation Office, this had been established in 2015 to support government interest at the bargaining table. But after the PSEA, it became a vehicle to ensure that the government mandates were implemented. And this is what we've seen in previous bargaining rounds. These secret mandates have increased the need for mediation and sowed distrust between unions and governments. In 2020, all major contracts went to mediation. And after the first few were settled, they set a pattern for the financial agreements, including what we ended up with here at MRU. Now, it's important to note two external factors that helped. During COVID, teachers and healthcare workers, these were public sector workers perceived as heroic who were engaged in dangerous professions. And the public wasn't interested in demonizing these groups. Secondly, oil revenues rebounded in 2021, lessening the credibility of the austerity argument. And so the point here is that larger external forces can have a really large influence on bargaining outcomes, regardless of how amazing our bargaining teams may be. This year, Bill 5 was passed. It amended the Public Sector Employers Act to allow employers to coordinate across their sectors. It also expanded the use of these secret bargaining mandates to non-unionized public employees. In Alberta, governments have worked to concentrate the expiry dates of contracts, which is found to be advantageous for governments to get similar settlements. Presently, all major public sector collective agreements expire within months of one another. Now, with laws and policies, there can always be unintended consequences. And with all this public sector bargaining happening at the same time, it opens the door for more effective coordination among public sector unions and across sectors. And this is where organizations like CAFA, the Confederation of Alberta Faculty Associations, can play an important role in this kind of coordination. And the incoming president of CAFA is our very own Lee Easton. So stay tuned for these initiatives. The bottom line is that we are in a very confined bargaining climate, and the more solidarity we have as an association and across associations, the more pressure we can apply to achieve desirable outcomes. Thanks for listening.